So I would now like to call upon Mr. Abdoulie Touray to give the opening remarks. Abdoulie Touray, commonly known as Bax, was born in Banjul to parents from Balangar and Foundiougne in Senegal. He schooled at Malpa School, Wesley Primary, Gambia High School, and Armitage. He went to college at the Gambia College, Morehouse College in the United States, Atlanta University. He has worked with the National Investment Board from 1980 to 1994. Privately, he is the Chief Executive Officer of Sahel Invest, Chairman of the West African International School, President of the West African Chartered College, the Vice President, Africa, Commonwealth Games Federation, President or Resident Representative of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, Resident Ambassador of the Global Peace and Prosperity Institute, GPPI. He is the author of Thinking, Talking, and Walking the Talk, which gives a history and insightful analysis of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Please give a round of applause to Alhaji
My sister, the Master of Ceremonies, Jaina Banyan, Her Excellency, the Minister for Women's Affairs overseeing the Vice Presidency, Fatumata Jallow Tambajang, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Madam Mariam Dantin, my Lord, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Alhaji Hussein Udabo, my sister and partner in development, Mrs. Yukai Jaban, eminent authors, my Halifa General, Alhaji Umane, and mentor, Alhaji Amadou Touray, distinguished ambassadors, distinguished and eminent personalities here present, distinguished sons of the soil, distinguished journalists, religious leaders, and all other protocols respectfully observed. Before going forward, I want to take the cue from our eminent MC and politely and respectfully request the family of the late and departed Solo Sandeng to stand up and be recognized by this gathering. Thank you very much. I am also informed that we should do a minute silent prayer in memory of Solo Sandeng and all those who departed this life during the last 22 years. Can we have a minute of silent prayer? Thank you very much. Madam Mistress of Ceremony, I am indeed honored and humbled to stand before you as chair of this gathering. I do know that there are certainly more deserving, more eloquent, and more worthy ambassadors to have done this role than my humble self. The reason I was given this honor is very simple. As a family, we looked up to Alhaji Umane for inspiration. And I suddenly recall when I had the opportunity from Gambia College to venture for higher education in the United States. He had just returned from New Zealand, and he asked, said, "Mr. Touray, Abdullah, what are you going to study?" And I said, "I'm going to the United States to study psychology." He reflected for a moment and then said, "Why don't you consider studying economics?" And since we were raised to respect the views of elders, I decided there and then to change from psychology to economics and still have a passion for psychology, but I'm an economist, a development economist for that matter, which is my calling. Therefore, I am pleased to be here in this very eminent gathering to celebrate the works of Alhaji Umane and his lifelong partner, Amadou Tall, in looking at the making of the new Gambia. I recall very vividly that somebody was very fond of saying that the world is 3 days: yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it was the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama that said, there are 2 days in the year when nothing can be done. That is yesterday and tomorrow. Those 2 days, nothing can be done, yesterday and tomorrow. What we have to do can only be done today. And I recall Martin Luther King saying during the civil rights movement that we are in an imperative, and that is the urgency of now. And this is the new Gambia, the urgency of now. Madam MC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone through a very difficult period in the last 22 years. And in the last 22 years, 3 very important milestones happened. In 1994. 1994 saw the end of apartheid in South Africa and the release of Nelson Mandela, who was in prison for the best part of 27 years in solitary confinement. And when he came out of prison, all the Europeans were basically very ready to leave South Africa and venture to Europe, because they expected that there will be a vendetta and there will be revenge. And he said, you do not have to worry. This is your home. You can stay in South Africa. And they said, then we can reconcile. He said, yes, indeed, we can reconcile. But before we reconcile, let us establish the truth. And that is why in South Africa, you had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. You cannot reconcile without establishing the truth. When you establish the truth, then it is human nature to forgive and to move on. That is very fundamental. Also in 1994, something very profound happened in a little country, tiny country called Rwanda in 1994. And what happened in Rwanda was the genocide, which was an assault on all of our humanity, because it was simply something that should not have happened, and the world watched by in silence when Tutsis and Hutus were killing each other simply for speaking a different dialect. That is still something that haunts the conscience of humanity. But 22 years down the road, all of us are now celebrating the vast expanse and exploits of Rwanda in terms of what they have been able to do over the last 22 years to heal their nation and to heal humanity. In 1994, something very profound also happened in peaceful and smiling Gambia. We had a coup d'etat which was described as a bloodless coup d'etat. It was described as a bloodless coup d'etat. And I recall that fateful day on a Friday after Juma prayers. I was on casual leave and my wife was coming from Banjul. And everybody was saying, is it a coup d'etat? Is it the army having a mutiny? Or is it the Americans that are doing some exercises in our shores? And little did we know what was happening until around 8 p.m. when on Radio 1 FM, the soldiers came forward and President Yahya Jammeh said that we have taken over the mantle of leadership of the Gambia. And he said, we are soldiers with a difference. And I looked to my wife and I said, that is an incomplete sentence. And she said, what do you mean? I said, it should mean we are soldiers with a difference in a nation of indifference. I said, when Yahya Jammeh spoke and said, we are soldiers with a difference, I said, in a nation of indifference. And it was because of our indifference, individually and collectively, that is why we suffered for 22 years. Indifference. We cannot continue to be indifferent. Now life is a journey, it's not a destination. Come 2016, again, 3 things happened around the world. And they all took a page from the Gambia. It was the elections in the United States of America, and little did we know that the United States of America, which is supposed to be the mantle of democracy, will then say that those elections which brought President Trump to power were rigged. The Gambia's elections up to 2016, of course, everybody knew were rigged. But now, the bastion of democracy said their elections were rigged. In 2016, the Ghanaians also went to the poll. And when they went to the poll, they took a queue because they went for their elections 1 week after Gambia. And they went to the poll and told the Ghanaians, take a queue from the Gambia and give the current government a red card. And the Ghanaians did so. In Gambia, of course, we went to the polls. We used our ballot boxes, our marbles, our pigeons to oust the then government. And everybody in the world celebrated. Of course, we had an impasse. And as I told you earlier, I was going to study psychology. And I took a lot of comfort. And my nerves were settled by the level of maturity that was demonstrated by the leadership in making sure that they did not respond to provocation. They were being constantly provoked, constantly cajoled, constantly caricatured. But they demonstrated maturity, and therefore we stayed with our ballots, and the bullets did not come out. So we need to celebrate each Gambian for that maturity. Now, as I said, it said that the war is 3 days, and Dalai Lama said, there are 2 days in the year where nothing can be done. Yesterday was Yahya Jammeh, today is Adama Barrow, tomorrow is hope. We have to keep hope alive. Hope means helping others to prosper economically, helping others to prosper educationally, and helping others to prosper by using entrepreneurship, which is the tool for self-employment. In 1998, there was no Dubai. Dubai was an offshoot of the fact that Hong Kong was reverting to Chinese rule, and the Dubai authorities, under their visionary leadership, saw the opportunity to establish another Hong Kong in the Middle East. And that's what gave rise to Dubai as we know it today. And if you read the book, My Vision, by the Emir of Dubai, Sheikh Khaltoum, it says, and I quote, "With each new day in Africa, a gazelle wakes up, knowing he must outrun the fastest lion or perish. At the same time, a lion stares and stretches, knowing he must outrun the fastest gazelle or starve." It is no different for the human race. Whether you consider yourself a gazelle or a lion, you simply have to run faster than others to survive. Life consists of opportunities. Life consists of opportunities that we must grab when they are available to us. And we have to be powerful, strong-willed, determined, and willing to grab such opportunities so that we do not have to scavenge the leftover of others. It goes to say that I will never abandon one opportunity and wait for another. We have not reached the goal the goal we are striving for. What you see is nothing compared to our vision, just tiny parts of it. We have to build a great Dubai, and a great Dubai must take along the rest of the Arab world. That is from the book titled Challenges of Excellence. Now in life, I always tell my students that you do not forget two people: those that give you opportunity and those that put you in difficulty. Most of you around this room suffered directly or indirectly from the difficulty that we had to endure during the 22 years. But you are stronger for it. You are stronger for it. And there is an African proverb that says, life has to be lived looking ahead, but can only be understood looking back. All Gambians were united with one purpose and one focus, and that was to ensure that there was a change of leadership for the better. God intervened, and we have that change of leadership. We had a bow and arrow, and all the arrows were pointing to His Excellency Babili Mansa. And when all the arrows point to you, they cannot miss. And that was how God intervened. We were united in purpose, united in solidarity, and united in action. Now, as I said, life has to be lived looking ahead, but can only be understood looking back. We cannot continue to reminiscence of all the ills that happened in the past. That is history. History is a teacher for the future. And we have to learn from those mishaps, from that indifference, from that inaction that all of us were subjected to, willingly or unwillingly. Now, all the arrows are now pointed to the new leadership. And the new leadership, what we require from them, their success is our pride, is collective. We have to have a win-win mentality. I recall President Clinton saying, the problem with the United States during his tenure was that they were preoccupied with who was up and who was down, who was in and who was out, who was hired and who was fired. In economics, if you go to economic school, you have all branches of economics. But the most important economics is not monetary economics, it's not fiscal economics. It is the economics of your pocket, how heavy your pocket is. And your pocket being heavy means that you can afford the essentials of life. Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough in this world to satisfy everybody's need, but there is not enough to satisfy everybody's greed. Unfortunately, and with hindsight, we had a leader who, if you were to decipher the word Jame as we have done in a retreat, we said that to us Jame meant just acquired money, materials, enrich himself. That was what collectively the retreat, which was on project planning, agreed on in Sali, Portugal, and we had to go to Her Excellency to get her permission to do this retreat. And we promised her that when we will come back, we will tell you what the consensus was from the private sector and the public sector in terms of the leadership. And President Obama, when he came to power, he said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. But yes, will we? Yes, will we? Gambia is poised for that. Then we decided, what values do we want to see in the new Gambia? And all of that is in this very eloquent, well-written book by two eminent Gambians of excellence, Amadou and Ibu. And we then say, what values do we want to see? As I said, I mentioned the bow and the arrow. All the arrows were pointed at one man. Now all these arrows are pointed at us. So every Gambian citizen is holding the bow and pointing the arrows at the leadership. And by extension, all of us. Because this, we are stakeholders. It's not a shareholder, we are companies own shares. This is Gambia, and we are all stakeholders in the Gambia. And what we decided that was, if you decide for Barrow, to us it means bringing in accelerated, and I emphasize accelerated righteousness, resourcefulness, opportunity, wealth for one and all. This is our expectation, and I have a very dynamic mentor in the room whose name is Good Health, who told me that if we have to have a new Gambia, we have to have a new you. And that new you starts with time management. God, in his own infinite wisdom, has ensured that all men are created equal, and as the Americans would say, and are endowed with certain inalienable rights, of which are liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I always say we come to this world for two things: to make an impact and to leave a legacy. We want this government to succeed. The founding fathers of the Gambia, Edward Francis Small, is referred to as the watchdog of the Gambia. He could not stand still and watch what was happening around us. And he went to all places, the most celebrated village in the Gambia, Balangad, and had the Balangad incident. And he was exiled into Senegal. When we had the Kukai Express in 1981, Sadauda was also exiled to Senegal. When we had the so-called Third Republic, Honorable Speaker, I discussed with her, and we agreed that we should not be talking about First, Second, or Third Republic. It's one republic. Also went to Senegal. So therefore, I want to end by saying that in all jurisdictions, the smallest countries are the most prosperous countries. In Africa, the only island economy that has become a middle income country is Cape Verde. And whether you know it or not, it was because of 1994, Alungom is here, he can bear testimony to this, that the World Bank took all the documents that were meant for Gambia because of the coup d'etat and took them to Cape Verde. And just changed the name in the top 10, you did not need a visa to get into most of those jurisdictions. Now, unfortunately, you do. Now, the smallest country in Europe is Luxembourg. The smallest country in Asia is Singapore. The smallest country in China is Hong Kong, and they are the most developed. Gambians are talented. Gambians can deliver. We have impacted international organizations. We have impacted many countries around the world. The yearning is for now to come back home to contribute to the emancipation, accelerated emancipation of the Gambia. We have the mind power, we have the brain power. We need social cohesion. When I was in South Africa, the South African government approached me and I told my landed friend, I'm the only lawyer he calls landed, I don't know why, I just say the Dabo, that the South Africans were very impressed with Gambia because they expected that everything was going to explode in Gambia. And they want to come and to see how they can partner with the Gambia to learn from the 3 Ps of the Gambia: patience, perseverance, and persistence. And that is what has been demonstrated under the leadership of our political leaders over the years. The motto of the Gambia is also peace, progress, and prosperity. We got rid of liberty, we got our liberty back. We are appealing for all Gambians to come back home. You don't need to be here physically, but to come back and not to be, but to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdoulie Touray, or Bax. Isn't that statement not inspiring and motivational? I found it to be very inspiring and motivating. Thank you once again. A big round